So, what are two of the most well-loved and well-known cinematic universes that we have all enjoyed to this day?
Harry Potter.
There are probably quite a few that you can think of. Probably one of the more popular ones currently is the MCU or Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I'm actually not going to talk about that one. I'm going to be comparing two of my personal favorites, one of which is arguably the probably second best book to movie transitions, losing only to Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings is untouchable. I couldn't even go there. That would be the Harry Potter universe, which I think is a pretty fun universe, and a lot of my friends enjoy it. The other one is on the opposite end of the spectrum. It was completely original, there were no books, it started with movies, and that is the Star Wars universe, which, you know, I'm obviously a fan. It has, both of them have amazing special effects, good characters, very enjoyable characters, lots of good development. But how do these universes compare? Is there anything similar between them? What are the main differences? Well, to start, there's coherency. Since the Harry Potter movies were based off books, they have really good coherency, they go together well. Star Wars, on the other hand, has had, I believe the amount is 12 directors over the course of, what is it, 30 years? I can't remember the date. But their coherency is all over the place. Consistency is almost the same. Harry Potter, almost all of the movies are enjoyed. There are critiques, like I haven't heard one Harry Potter fan who hasn't complained about the whole Dumbledore yelling at Harry in Goblet of Fire, at least from the people who have read the books. And again, Star Wars, there are a lot of hated movies, there are a lot of enjoyed movies, no one can seem to agree. And then there are extended universe spin-off series. This is one area where Harry Potter kind of falls short. You have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Other than that, you don't get anything. On the other hand, Star Wars has, I can't remember how many shows, and I think a total of 12 movies currently. And then there is, for me, the probably most crucial difference, and that is the logic and the failure to follow it, and the excuses they use when they fail to follow it. So with the Harry Potter world, they're typically pretty good at keeping everything logical, but when they have a story plot point that doesn't quite make sense, their reasoning is typically, 'cause magic! And as a very logical person, I don't like that. And Star Wars universe doesn't do much better, but typically there's enough, science stuff thrown in that's possible. Unless you're talking about the Disney Star Wars movies, and sorry, no. So one of the other main comparisons that's very easy to make is the protagonist. Harry Potter, in case you didn't know, is the main character of the Harry Potter series. He gets a lot of detail put into his character because the books and the movies are coming from his perspective. He's introduced to us as an orphan living with his aunt and uncle, and we could quickly find out that he is not an ordinary guy. He has magical abilities, and he gets taken to Hogwarts to see what he can do, learn stuff. So his training is, he goes to a school he's supposed to go 7 years, but he ended up going 6, and he learns a lot about spells, potions, animals, all kinds of good stuff. The annoying thing to me about that is he only seems to use 2 spells for the entire series, which, a lot more he could have done, but he didn't. He had a lot of challenges to overcome. There was a lot of bullying from students and one particular teacher. There's a bunch of dangerous places he has to go. Like, the Forbidden Forest, which he keeps going back to. And then, of course, there's the main challenge of he has to defeat Voldemort. There's even a prophecy that says neither of them can really live until one dies. And conveniently, Voldemort never attacks till the end of the year when he's gotten a little bit stronger. But, you know. So his character arc, to me, seems middle of the road. Because I like character arcs where the main protagonist starts either struggling or just kind of average and embraces either a calling or some kind of destiny, something like that, and becomes better. And to an extent, Harry does do this, because in the end he does sacrifice himself to save everyone and defeats the Dark Lord. But he makes a lot of questionable choices throughout the storyline. He starts out a very thoughtful young guy who's just pretty nice. And his, I guess, niceties just kind of decrease throughout the series, and I don't enjoy that. That makes it hard to follow along to. But in the end, he does do the right thing. He does save everyone, so he does good with that. And then in Star Wars, the main protagonist, depending on which series it is, there's a lot. There's a lot of main protagonists. I'm sticking with Luke Skywalker from the original trilogy. He is also introduced to us as an orphan, also living with his aunt and uncle. And he is looking for something more meaningful than just hanging out on the moisture farm. And he quickly finds that with the rebellion and meeting up with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he goes with Obi-Wan Kenobi. He gets very little training from him. But then after he joins the rebellion, blows up the first Death Star, he goes to find Yoda, who was the Grand Master of the Jedi Council. That only lasted a few months. So then he goes and ends his training. We don't get to see that off screen, or we don't get to see that on screen. It's an off screen ending. But the training wasn't as satisfying to me because we couldn't see very much of it. We mostly just saw his clashes. So then the challenges, he had a lot too. So the first one that he really had to come up against was the murder of his uncle and aunt. Quickly followed by Obi-Wan Kenobi dying, the challenge having to blow up the first Death Star, and it just kept going. He had to blow up another Death Star. He had to face Darth Vader multiple times. And then in the end, facing Emperor Palpatine and his father simultaneously. And then on a lesser note, what was that one time that he made out with his sister? Probably cringes about that a lot, but you know. When he's first introduced to us, he's, like I said earlier, looking for something to devote himself to, something to give him purpose. And he finds that when he meets up with Obi-Wan Kenobi, after buying 2 droids who lead him to him. And once he embraces that he is going to be a Jedi and he needs to take on the challenges that come with that and defeat the Sith, he really rises to embrace that. And I enjoy that part, finding something worth devoting yourself to. So overall, they have very similar backstories. Both are orphans, although, you know, Luke really wasn't, with Darth Vader still alive, but it's a different note. They were both raised by their aunt and uncle. They both found out they had a ability that made them different from everyone else. And they were both supposed to save the world or galaxy. Not interchangeable, by the way. They both have a male and female sidekick each, and each of those male and female people end up being a couple, leaving our main protagonist by himself, but they're all fine with that. And they both have a lot to learn about letting go of fear and hate, although one of them did not have a magical glowing beast to help them with that. Just saying. So So then a quick comparison of the antagonists, or the big bad guys. Voldemort is the main bad of the Harry Potter universe, who cannot be killed unless you destroy 7 random objects in the world, technically 8 with Harry Potter being that one. Sorry about that spoiler if no one's read the books or seen the movies. He killed a lot of people. I couldn't find an exact kill count and that bothered me, but it's fine. He only has, when I tried to find the kill count, just to see if there was a fact, like a straight number, there wasn't. We know he killed at least 10 people. I feel like he killed more and did a little more damage considering he started Wizarding Wars, but you know, he was not the most, he's called one of the most powerful people, but throughout the whole books we just see him kind of over and over just like falling on his face in failure. And one of the things that really bothered me about him is he couldn't kill Harry as a child. Like, I get that there's the power of love or whatever, but it's really easy to like hurt babies. They're really vulnerable. He could have just like taken him and dropped him out the window. He didn't even have to use magic. But of course he had to use the most overpowered spell, whatever. On the other hand, Palpatine is very intimidating. He ruled a galactic empire, the first of its kind, for 26 years. He, again, didn't have an exact kill count, but if we put together all of the things his plans did, he killed billions, if not trillions. He was behind the Clone Wars. He had multiple Death Stars made, which blew up at least 8 planets on screen, with billions of people for each planet. So, you know, I get that it's a galaxy versus a world, but still, yeah. And then the henchmen, like the right-hand man, Vader and Snape are very similar. They both wear almost exclusively black. They both have very tragic backstories, are easily and commonly misunderstood, and they both were obsessed with the woman that they loved. Although Anakin was married to his, Snape not so much. And they were both redeemed in the end to help the protagonists. And then this is where I get very controversial. And I talk about this with my friends a lot, Micaiah can tell you. Wands are lightsabers. So this is a kind of hard comparison because you're comparing an everyday object in the wizarding community versus a laser sword. And I get that. One is primarily a weapon, the other can be used for whatever. And in that sense, the wand is the better of the two. But with almost every hero story, they have very little time to figure out how to use their abilities, use their weapon. And like I said earlier, Harry went to school for 6 years and used 2 spells. A lightsaber is a fancy sword. I feel like that's a lot easier to use. So if it came down to which one I would need to quickly save my life, I would probably go with the lightsaber. But in every other sense, the wand is very much the winner of the two. And then overall, there are a couple of life lessons that at least I take away from the two. Harry Potter is, if anything, Harry shows us you don't have to be perfect to be the hero. You can make mistakes, and they can come from anywhere. That was one of the big debates of Voldemort, is you have to be pure blood. You don't. Star Wars is, what I took away from it is you can feel your emotions as long as you don't let them take over. And feelings, emotions are natural. Everyone has them, you can't suppress them. And then relying on your friends is a good thing to do, but you should do anything you can to protect them. And in both of them, the people that you lose are always with you. You see that when Harry uses the Resurrection Stone, you see that throughout the Star Wars universe with Force Ghosts and stuff. So in the end, Harry Potter has better consistency. Overall, it's very easy for people to say it's the better of the two. But to me, Star Wars has always hit closer to home. I've always seen myself more in the characters, been able to relate better. And then finally, I've had this bag over here. I don't know how many of you were interested by this, but I have something from each universe that I want to show you. Just superficially, this is a wand. This is in every movie. Everyone has them. It's fun. It's cool. You can pretend to make spells and stuff. I can't actually do magic, so not that fun. On the other hand, there's this, which I can attach a dueling blade to. I can use this. It also lights up. You can use it like a flashlight. Just overall, much cooler. And that's it.